I've always enjoyed attending the APAC meetings, and I'm greatly honored to have the opportunity to address you again. I could only wish we were all together in Tokyo for this important gathering at this most important time. I remember fondly the fact that this meeting normally coincided with Hanami, but I note that both nature and COVID-19 would have conspired to me missing it. I read the Sakura in Tokyo opened 12 days earlier than average. And to prevent the further spread of the coronavirus, people are asked not to hold Hanami parties this year, sadly. Since you have given me the honor to address you at the start of your meeting, I propose to share with you my views on the different topics you will be covering in your program. The theme of the conference is rightly forward-looking. Today we have the dual challenge of overcoming COVID-19, and we need to be ready to take on the future innovation challenges, both in Asia and beyond. If one thing COVID-19 has taught us, no one is safe until everyone is safe. So let me start by sharing with you how far we have come a year since WHO declared this pandemic on March 11, 2020. Few would believe it possible to have not one but several safe and highly effective vaccines in less than 1 year. To have a realistic chance of making more vaccine doses than the world has ever produced for a single virus. To have the first deliveries of doses-approved vaccines being delivered to Kigali, Accra, Abidjan, and Nairobi pretty much at the same time as Tokyo. The facts are, we have vaccines against COVID-19 that are more effective than even the world's leading experts could have hoped for. The fastest the vaccine has ever been developed in the past was 4 years for Ebola. Now it was 326 days for COVID-19. Pre-COVID-19, total capacity for producing vaccines was around 5 billion doses for all vaccines. Shingles, measles, flu, polio, hepatitis and seasonal influenza and more. Now we are on the road of producing 10 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines alone in 2021. That's trebling the world capacity in a matter of months, when normally it takes years to build up a vaccines plant. Asia will play an important role in this massive scaling up of manufacturing capacity. We are seeing an unprecedented collaboration. Academics, biotechs, big pharma, developing world vaccine manufacturers, suppliers have all come together to make this happen. And within our industry, pharmaceutical companies have not hesitated to pool resources, expertise, know-how, and intellectual assets to accelerate the development of new medicines and vaccines, or to make their facilities available to their competitors. We are in a war against the virus. We are fighting a war against time. We have seen far too many lives lost and livelihoods destroyed by the pandemic. And we know no one is safe until everyone is safe. Since the beginning of this pandemic, we committed to fair and equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines. And the only way to do this is through Act A unique partnership with WHO, with our long-term partner Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and others, to ensure we are getting vaccines not only to richer countries, but also poorer countries. Thanks to our strong innovation ecosystem, we have been able to respond fast to this pandemic. It is important to preserve our business model also for future pandemic preparedness. For this reason, we are vigorously explaining that taking away patents on COVID-19 products now would not add a single vaccine more to fight the current pandemic, but it would send a disastrous signal for the future. But the scaling up to historic proportions is not without its challenges. Vaccine manufacturing processes are highly complex. They involve cutting-edge sciences and technologies. Effective manufacturing capacity expansion needs to overcome major challenges, including the need for highly specialized equipment, qualified and trained personnel, difficult and time-consuming technology transfers, and not least, managing complex international supply chains, frequently involving more than 100 components. This unprecedented scaling up of vaccine manufacturing from 0 to billions of doses in record time has led to shortages that are impacting the entire vaccine supply chain. Because it is urgent to address these shortages so that they do not interrupt vaccine manufacturing, we recently hosted a global summit to start an informed discussion to find solutions together. Moving on to another theme of this APAC meeting is the importance of regulations and approvals. One of the areas that was highlighted at our summit is the value of regulatory harmonization and streamlining to accelerate manufacturing capacity and supply. Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, many national regulatory authorities have put in place regulatory agilities to facilitate new and ongoing clinical research, pharmaceutical production, and monitoring of safety and efficacy for all medicines and vaccines. For example, acceptance of e-signatures, virtual good manufacturing practice inspections, remote monitoring of clinical study patients. These steps have allowed companies to maintain ongoing clinical research, manufacture and supply for non-COVID-19 diseases like cancer and dementia. Using the International Coalition of Medicines Regulatory Authorities, ICMRA, to achieve alignment among leading regulators has been very important. It has made it possible for regulatory systems to continue to be fit for purpose and agile. Here, I would like to acknowledge the role that Japan is playing globally with PMDA, with Yasuhiro Fujiwara-san as ICMRA Vice Chair. The letter issued by APAC in July last year to head of health authorities of Asian economies was very supportive of IFPMA's views. And we welcome APAC's continued work to follow the status of collaboration, of scientific assessment, sharing communication, acceptance of electronic documents, and above all, the streamline of regulatory processes. We will continue to support the use of robust evidence and scientific standards in the assessment of COVID-19 medicines and vaccines. Undermining regulators will undermine confidence in the vaccines. This could set us back on the path to herd immunity by months, if not more. It is very important that we explain that the speed of development has not impacted the safety of the approved vaccines. This is why we, IFPMA, launched our Team Vaccines campaign to build trust in COVID-19 vaccines and explain industry's role in the development of safe and effective solutions. More communication and understanding of the regulatory system, including registration and approvals, is still needed. There are many learnings and best practices that we will be able to take from this public health emergency, whether it is the ability to remotely verify source data for clinical trials, rely on virtual GMP inspection reports, or explore the development of a universal vaccine platform to address circulating viruses. Whatever these learnings are, it is important that we do not lose sight of them. COVID-19 will not be the last public health emergency that we are likely to face in our lifetimes. And it is imperative that we work together to implement regulatory systems that are effective and streamlined, yet patient-focused, so that we are adequately prepared for the next pandemic. There's one pandemic that we have known about for years, called antimicrobial resistance, AMR. The increased resistance to existing antibiotics can undermine our healthcare systems and many treatments we take for granted. We are very vulnerable because there are hardly any new antibiotics. This is because the market does not attract investment into new antibiotics. So for this reason, last year, 23 companies, including our Japanese members, launched an AMR Action Fund of nearly $1 billion to support the pipeline with investment and expertise from IFPMA member companies, aiming to deliver 2 to 4 novel antibiotics by 2030. We will continue to call for governments around the world to establish new incentives and reform the market for antibiotics that makes it sustainable to invest into antibiotic R&D and rewards valuable, innovative antibiotics. As we turn to the world post-COVID-19, there will be an urgent need to rebuild health systems. This will put further scrutiny in an often debated issue, the cost of health. The cost of pharmaceuticals in the healthcare budget will be a topic of greater scrutiny. We will be advocating to look at this issue from the perspective of the value innovation brings to patients. We call this value-based healthcare. The value we refer to is looking at the best possible care for patients. This represents a move from the traditional fee-for-service model. Value-based healthcare has seen success in treating chronic disease like diabetes. So to close, let us hope we can be reunited next year, face to face, and I can again witness the blossoming of sakura, the cherry blossoms. If we can, it will be a testament to our industry's ability to bring science to humanity. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you and wish you a productive meeting.